Alrighty, good morning, everyone. Welcome. Happy Friday. We are going to be talking all about a really cool animal here today with our Aquarium Online Academy. So, welcome. My name is Allie. I'm from the Aquarium of the Pacific in Long Beach, California. And I am not alone here in the studio. I have my friend Erin over at the computer, ready to take any text messages or comments or anything you have to say. And I have my friend Carrie controlling all of these really cool images behind me. Now, with that being said, with our text messages, we are going to be putting up a number right below here. Perfect, right on cue. And if you have any questions or you have any comments, anything that you'd like to know, again, this is an Ask a Scientist class. So we're really going to base this class off of your questions. So that number down here is 562-286-1838. Again, my friend Erin's over there. She can pass on any questions that you might have. And then if you are watching while we are not live, so not June 4th at 9 a.m. and you still have questions, that's awesome, but we're going to have you email us instead. And that's this email right below here. It's live@lbaop.org. Now, again, this is an Ask a Scientist class on a very cool animal. Does anyone think they know what animal this might be? The octopus. Yes, we are going to be talking about octopuses today and exploring, whoa, this really cool animal. So let's go ahead and make some observations and just kind of think about, what do we already know about octopuses? If you'd like to text us on in, again, our number is right below there, 562-286-1838. Now, one thing about octopuses that I think is so cool are, well, the variety of adaptations that they have all over their body. Now, adaptations might be a new word for all of us, and if it's not, well, we're going to review it anyway. Adaptations are something that an animal has on its body that it's born with that helps them to survive. All right, so that it's born with, like my shirt, no, that's not going to be an adaptation. However, hair, that might be an adaptation. So let's brainstorm. What are some adaptations that you see on an octopus? Oh, Riley is already texting in. Hi, Riley. Good morning. Riley says 8 tentacles. Ooh, does anyone else agree? Let's see if we can get a good view of those arms. So here we actually call them arms. Tentacles can be a little bit different. Octopuses have 8 arms. Arms are when the suction cups come whoop all the way down to the very tip. So actually, octopuses don't have any tentacles, which is a little different than their cousin, the squid. Has anyone ever seen a squid before? Yeah, they actually have 8 arms, but they also have 2 tentacles. So octopuses, you're right, Riley. They have 8 arms. Now, what might they use those arms for? What are they using their arms for? Right now, we are looking at a giant Pacific octopus. This is one of the species that we have on display here at the Aquarium of the Pacific. And you can see all their arms nice up close. And it looks like they're just kind of exploring their exhibit right now. So that's one thing that they can do. They can explore where they are with their arms. But what else might they be able to do? Do you think it might help them maybe catch their food? Maybe. Let's think about, what might an octopus want to eat? Well, first of all, a mouth is pretty important in eating, isn't it? So let's figure out where the mouth is first. Because octopus's anatomy, where all their body parts are a little bit different than us humans. So they have those 8 arms, but in the middle, let me see if I have a good picture to show you. Let's see. I don't see a good picture right now, but if we were to look in the middle of all of those arms, whoop, and go like this. Ooh, thank you so much. In the middle of those arms, right in the center, that's where their mouth would be. So their mouth kind of looks a little bit different than what we might be thinking of. It doesn't have teeth. It actually has what we call a beak. Now, if you can picture a parrot with the beak, with the two halves that kind of go like this, kind of pointed at the end, that is exactly what you're thinking of for a mouth of an octopus. Now, they have really good crushing abilities. So, what might they want to eat? Oh, well, you might be thinking, it's crushing, maybe something that's a little hard. How about a crab? Ooh, crab is actually one of their favorite foods. Also, things like shrimp, clams. They love to eat invertebrates, slow-moving for the most part, that live on the bottom. And they can pick it up with those nice 8 arms that Riley mentioned and bring it into their mouth there, and they can crush it open. Now, I see we already have a few questions coming on in, so we're going to take a pause for a moment from what our octopus eats to answer some of these questions. So while we're doing that, go ahead and brainstorm some more adaptations that you see on an octopus. Oh, Dawn. Good morning, Dawn in Philadelphia. Can they smell with their suction cups? Oh, Dawn, yes, they totally smell with their suction cups. Yes. So I know that sounds a little funny because this might look like a giant nose. At least that's what it looks like to me. But this isn't actually a nose. What they do is they can actually smell and taste with their suction cups here. So imagine if your hands could kind of smell and taste anything you touched. Oh, that'd be a little weird, but it works for octopuses. Each one of those arms has hundreds of those suction cups on them, and they can all move individually. So yeah, they can smell and taste with those suction cups, but what else could they do with their suction cups? Well, they're actually pretty strong. So each individual suction cup, again, can hold lots and lots and lots of weight. So I think on a giant Pacific octopus, it's like 100 pounds per suction cup. So that is a really, really strong adaptation they can use to help open up those really, really hard animals, or maybe even help get away from maybe predators. Let's see. Ooh, Azel, good morning, says, I think that each arm has its own brain. Ooh, well, that would mean how many brains, Azel? 8 brains? What does everyone think about that? I have heard that octopuses are intelligent. And yes, you are right. Each individual arm has kind of its own brain, and then they have a central brain in here. So they have 9 brains. Pretty cool, huh? We're going to talk about how intelligent these animals are here in a little bit. But yes, each individual arm can move on their own. Each suction cup can move on their own. So they have lots of different abilities. Isaac is wondering, do octopuses change color? Yes, Isaac. Oh, let's check it out. We have some pretty cool videos of our octopuses changing color. Now, I want you to just make some observations. Go ahead and look at the color, but also go ahead and look at the texture. What do you notice about what's happening, what's changing? Ooh, I notice a deep red, kind of smooth, and then, whoa, kind of bumpy and white and black and brown. Now, this octopus is changing color and texture to blend in. So what do we call that when an animal blends in with its surroundings? That's right, camouflage. So camouflage is another really awesome adaptation that this animal has. Now, why would you want camouflage? How could that be helpful for you? You might be thinking, well, to avoid predators, to avoid being eaten. Yes, they have really cool ways to kind of avoid being eaten, including, ooh, did you see that ink squirt on out? So they have ink that they can kind of push out and swim away nice and fast. They can also fit into really small areas, but again, they can change color and texture to blend in. And for some animals, it even helps them to sneak up on their food. If their prey can't see them coming, well, they're more likely to get it and then get their snack. Oh, all right. We have more questions coming on in. Can you tell us about the three-ringed octopus? We might be thinking that you might mean the blue-ringed octopus. The blue-ringed octopus is a fairly small octopus that has a lot of venom. So that is not one that you would want to go on up to. So venom and poison, we might kind of get those two words confused sometimes. Poison is something that you will have to ingest. All right, whereas venom is to the touch. So again, you don't want to interact with a blue-ringed octopus if you do see one. Eric, how do octopus change the way they look? Oh, awesome. So let's go back to that camouflage. So octopuses have a really cool cell in their skin called a chromatophore. Yeah, it's kind of a big word, but it's kind of fun once you say it. Chromatophore. And this is if we zoomed in on their skin, this is what we would see if they were changing color. So what do you notice? Lots of little dots, all changing sizes. So they have lots of different colors of these little dots, of these little chromatophores. And if they want to be a certain color, they expand or make that dot larger so they show more of that color. So if I was an octopus and I had all different colors of chromatophores and I wanted to start turning white, well, I would take my white chromatophores and make them nice and big. So that's showing more of that color. Now they also have those little, almost like muscles that help them to kind of make themselves a little pokey or to match almost the texture around. And that is a really cool adaptation as well. I believe they're called papillae, but I always say that word wrong. So, that's what I believe they're called, papillae, that allow them to change their texture. Oh, Bart on elementary 4th grade. Hello, good morning. Is an octopus a mammal? Ooh, that's a really great question. Well, let's go ahead and just look at it for a second. Oh yeah, this is great. Miss Carrie went back to a picture for us of an octopus. Now, first, to answer that question, we need to think about, well, what is a mammal, right? Are there characteristics that we can see to say, yes, I think this is a mammal, or no, I don't think this is a mammal? So one thing that makes a mammal is this stuff right here. Yep, hair or fur, sometime in their life. So you might think of a mammal as maybe your cat or dog at home, or maybe a lion at the zoo, or maybe a dolphin or a whale. They have hair when they're babies. Yes, so can we think, do you think an octopus has hair sometime in their life? No, octopuses don't have hair or fur. So that's one thing that tells me, I'm a little suspicious of this. I don't know if this is going to be a mammal. But let's move on to a different characteristic. Mammals breathe air. So let's think of cats, dogs, humans, whales, dolphins. They come to the surface, right? Even animals that live in the water, who are mammals, come to the surface, take a deep breath, and then go back down. Now, octopuses, do they come to the surface to breathe? They might kind of come up to the surface sometimes, maybe to grab some food, like we were looking at in our exhibit, but they don't really come to the surface too much. So they actually have gills. So gills like fish have. So they're a little bit different, but they do the same job. They take water, they take the oxygen out, and they expel that water again. So they don't have lungs, they don't breathe air. And that is another way that we know that they are not a mammal. A couple more reasons without going too far into it. They also do, they do lay eggs. So mammals, we have live birth, right? You didn't hatch out of an egg, right? Your mom didn't sit on the egg. No, that would be a little silly. Octopuses lay thousands of eggs at one time. They are also, we are warm-blooded, right? And then I feel like I'm missing one. We got hair, air. Oh, milk. Yes, mammals drink their mother's milk when you're a baby. These do not produce milk, so they don't feed their babies milk. All right, great question. So no, octopuses are not mammals. That's a really great question, and we went through those steps to investigate. How do we know that together? Great job. What do octopuses do all day is another really great question. Well, it's a little hard to answer. They don't do that much. So we can go back to maybe a video of one of, here's an octopus out in the ocean. So octopuses are really concerned about only a couple things. They're concerned about finding food, not being eaten, and finding a mate. But most of the time, octopuses are alone. They're not a very social animal, which means that they don't really need to be with a group of octopuses all the time. So they don't really do too much. Actually, a lot of times they're kind of hiding out kind of in an alcove like this or in a little cave. They don't actually do too much. Ooh, but I love this view of this camouflage. I didn't even see that octopus there. It makes me think of how many times I've been in the water and who knows, maybe there was an octopus hiding nearby. So great question. Here at the aquarium, ooh, great, right on cue. Our giant Pacific octopus, he comes out a little bit more, but he comes and, dances along the window, has his tentacles up, but that's, oh, here we go. But that's also because he knows and he associates us with feeding. So he does come to the surface during feeding time as well. So a little bit different. Do octopuses have skin? Yes, they do. That is all of this stuff that you kind of see on its body. Oh, great, Miss Carrie. Thank you so much. You can see all of this skin here. And remember, they have those cool cells we talked about, chromatophores, that are in their skin to help them change color. Now, I get asked a lot, what does an octopus feel like? And that is the hardest thing in the world to explain. But it kind of feels like, everyone take your hand and take your other hand, 2 fingers, and kind of rub on top of your hand. There's some skin, kind of moves a little bit, but underneath is kind of firm. That's kind of what an octopus feels to me. They do not have bones. They are an invertebrate, but they are pretty tough and they have lots and lots of muscle. So they're actually a lot thicker and denser than you might think, not having bones. But to me, that's a pretty good idea of what they feel like. Their skin, it has a lot of movement underneath those firmer parts. Miss Mitchell's class is wondering, well, who are their predators? Good question. It could, in their lifetime, it really could be anything. So octopuses start off very, very, very small, like the size of a grain of rice. Yeah, just 1 grain of rice. So when they're that small, they could really be food for anything because they're not going to be good swimmers. They're going to be pretty small. Anything can kind of run into it if it's eating. So at that age, pretty much anything. But at this age, it could be a variety of things. Maybe some sea lions, seals, sharks. Could be lots of different animals. Yeah. All right, let's see. Ooh, Audrey, how do octopuses breathe? Audrey, I hope you caught that they have gills. So gills like fish, but they have them kind of in this big, remember I said that big part looks like a nose? And well, that's actually called their mantle. All right, that's a big part right here. And that actually has pretty much all their body parts kind of whoop in one big area. All right, so this doesn't only have their brain in that big area, it has their hearts. Yes, I said hearts. They have 3. It has their brain, their hearts, their gills, lots of things kind of packed into one. So that's where their gills are. And they take water in through the side here. You can kind of see an opening. Whoop, right behind their arm there. They're like, ooh, don't look at it. There's a little opening there that they can suck water in, exchange that water, and push it out. Ooh, what cephalopods do we have at the aquarium? It's another question coming on in. So cephalopods, I love that you brought that term up because that's a really fancy term for animals like octopus, squid, nautilus. So there's pretty much, we have different groups in science of different animals. And cephalopod in Latin translates to head, foot. Cephala, head, pod, feet. So all of these animals that are in this group have kind of just their head region on top of their feet. They don't really have that torso area. So cephalopods, the big 2 that we think of are squid and octopus. So here at the aquarium, we do have a giant Pacific octopus. We do have a day octopus. We do have pajama squid. We do have flamboyant cuttlefish. And from time to time, we do have squid as well, a different kind of squid as well. So it does depend, but that's what we currently have on exhibit. Joey is wondering, what's my favorite octopus? Well, the one I've interacted with the most would be the giant Pacific octopus. And that was that red one we saw a moment ago. So that one has stolen my heart a little bit because they are so interesting. They can just change colors so rapidly. They come up to the surface, and what surprises me all the time is just how strong they are. They are so strong. Even those little suction cups sometimes are a little hard to get off of your hand. Barton Elementary, good morning. How do they attack predators? Oh, good question. So again, they do eat a lot of things that aren't necessarily the fastest animal, like shrimp, crabs, clams. So they'll use their arms and those real tough suction cups and kind of grab their food and pull it underneath them. Remember, their mouth is right underneath them in the center. Ooh, and our octopus is strong. They're very strong. I just mentioned, I've touched actually this octopus before, and it is hard to get them to kind of release from your arm because they are so strong. And these suction cups, each one can hold about 100 pounds, and they have hundreds on each arm, and they have 8 arms. So yes, very, very strong. Let's see. After cephalopods, what are octopuses related to? Good question. So they are a mollusk, which means that they are a soft-bodied animal. That the bigger grouping, they have shells. Now, they have evolved to not have shells. They don't have shells, but their ancestors way back in the day, they did. So they evolved from a soft-bodied animal that has shells. So those mollusks. Let's see. Orin is wondering, do octopus have ears? And does the ink come out of the beak? Do octopuses have ears? To my knowledge, they do not. Does anyone? Okay, we're pretty much in a consensus here that they do not have ears. I'm sure they sense more of the vibrations in the water than they do actual sounds. And their ink does not come out of their beak. That's a wonderful question. It actually comes out of their siphon, that area where they were kind of taking water in that we were watching kind of open and close. That's where their ink comes out. And also, here's a really great video. And they can switch their siphon. It's going to go to the other side and poof. Did you see that? So they can move their siphon around, which is pretty interesting.
They don't have ears, but they are able to detect sound waves, but their hearing is really poor.
Awesome. My friend Erin actually did a little bit of research for me over at the computer. So kind of what we thought about the ears. They do not have ears. They can detect the sound waves. Again, those got vibrations in the water, but they do not have good hearing. Great question. See, we're all learning a little bit here today. Let's see. Miss Roach's class, can an octopus run and do they have bones? Can an octopus run? I have seen videos of them running or kind of moving fast on all 8 of their arms. I have never seen it personally though, but they can kind of go near the bottom and use all of their arms to walk pretty quickly. But they also, they swim, but they also do move around a lot on their arms. A great question. And no, they do not have bones. They are, again, an invertebrate. Means they have no bones. Actually, for that matter, they have no hard, rigid things in their body except for that beak. So just that beak that they use to kind of crush their food, that's the only hard part they have in their body. Again, I mentioned that their arms are kind of firm. They're still squishy, but they're just a little firm. Let's see. Ooh, Olivia, how do they communicate? Great question. Olivia, they can communicate with movement. They can communicate with their color changes. I think that's a really big one, to communicate with each other. What do the babies eat and how long do they stay with mom? Good question. So babies, I'm assuming they're going to eat tiny little pieces of plankton because they are so tiny. They're not really going to be able to eat a crab. But their mom, they don't really have parental care. So not all animals are like us, where our parents or a guardian raises us, teaches us things, spends time with us. Not all animals are like that. So what happens with octopuses is actually the female lays her eggs, and then after she lays her eggs, her whole life is dedicated to kind of protecting those eggs to the point where she actually will stay there. She won't really eat, and she does pass on pretty soon after laying those eggs. So they don't stay with their mom, really. Good question. Eddie is wondering, how fast is an octopus? Ooh, a lot of times they can move pretty slow, but they can get up to about 25 miles per hour. Alice is wondering, how long can an octopus live out of water? Ooh, good question. So, of course, there's a lot of factors involved, Alice, but they can live out of water up to around a half an hour. So they can come out of water for fairly long amounts of time. So the only real thing is that their gills inside need to be wet. That's really the limiting factor. They need to be wet in order to exchange that oxygen, in order to get those gills, get all the oxygen from the water. So of course it depends on, the sun and how hot it is, but yes, they can be out of water for short amounts of time. Colton, do octopus eat jellies? Good question. Colton, I don't think jellies have quite enough nutrition for an octopus. Plus, they are very, very squishy, and they tend to eat things that are a little bit harder. However, there are animals that do eat jellies. And what is an octopus's lifespan? Great question. Not very long. Octopuses don't live very long. Some can only live a few months, and that is their entire lifespan. One of the longer living octopuses is actually this one here, the giant Pacific octopus. And their lifespan maxes out around 5 years. So they do not live very long because, again, once they lay those eggs, then their life is kind of dedicated to taking care of those eggs, and they pass on pretty quickly after that. Alrighty, everyone. Wow, so many great questions. I love it. Now, we will try to get to the rest of your questions within the next few minutes here. We'll do our best. If I couldn't answer your question on air, don't worry, we will get back to you. But teachers, if we have any teachers watching with your classes, we would really, really love if you could text this number and just let us know how many students you have watching. That really helps us gather some data and really help us better serve our community with these free programs. So again, if you could text this number, just how many students, that would be awesome. But other than that, thank you so much for exploring octopuses today with me. I had so much fun and even learned a little bit myself. So have a great rest of your day. Have a great weekend. And if you are interested, in about a half an hour, we're going to be in the same place having a class on discovering the Earth. So all cool things about the Earth. All right. Thanks, everyone. Have a good day. Bye.